Welcome to the Horror Vault. Each week, we open the door to a new nightmare. From real accounts of true horror to chilling tales of the paranormal and unexplained. So find a quiet place, dim the lights, close your eyes, and picture every word unfolding in your mind. Now, let's begin tonight's story. I remember the first time I saw the room. It was late October when I arrived at the Hawthorne Institute, a private retreat for professionals who'd lost their edge, the sort of place you don't find on Google or see advertised in mental health brochures. My employer, a law firm in London, had highly recommended it after I broke down during a deposition. I had no memory of shouting or tearing up the witness transcript, but the footage didn't lie. Take some time, they told me. Recharge. The car ride up the coast was a blur. The further we drove, the more the roads narrowed. The air changed. It wasn't just colder. It felt thicker, like every breath came with weight. The institute itself was an ancient estate perched on the edge of a cliff, a fusion of Edwardian gloom and brutalist renovations, an architectural contradiction, like it didn't know what century it belonged in. They took my phone at reception, said it was for total mental recalibration. I signed some waivers, barely glanced at the fine print. I just wanted to sleep. My room was on the 3rd floor, room 313. The numbers were brass, but worn down to a dull green. A narrow corridor led to it, lined with framed photographs of smiling patients. All of them looked slightly wrong, smiles too wide, eyes too empty. I told myself it was the lighting. The room was small but clean. A twin bed, a desk, an armchair by a tall, narrow window. That window faced the sea, and I would come to know it far too well. The first night, I slept like the dead. The second night, I woke at 3:17 a.m. The room was freezing. The window was open, though I'd locked it. I closed it, told myself it was just the wind. But when I turned around, I could have sworn I saw someone sitting in the chair. The third night, I heard the scratching. It wasn't loud, just a faint, repetitive sound, like nails on glass. I got up. The window was shut. But when I looked outside, I saw a shape in the darkness, pale, standing on the rocky shore far below, looking up at me. I didn't sleep again that night. They told me I was making progress. Dr. Mallory was kind in the way a mirror is kind, reflecting only what you want to see. She asked gentle questions, made careful notes, and never reacted to the things I confessed. Not even when I told her I thought the room was watching me. "You're not the first patient to feel that way," she said. "The mind projects meaning onto the unfamiliar. That's what we're here to unravel." But the room was watching me. Every night the window was open, no matter how tightly I latched it. Every night the scratching grew louder, closer. And then the dreams began. In the dreams, I was standing outside the institute, but it wasn't nighttime or morning. It was nothing. A sky without stars or sun. The building loomed behind me, and the window, my window, was glowing faintly. And someone was inside it, looking out, smiling. That someone was me. I started seeing things during the day, reflections that didn't match, faces in the hallways that turned away too fast. I stopped trusting the mirrors. I stopped trusting sleep. By week 2, I'd stopped eating. By week 3, they moved me to a different room after I tore the curtain off and tried to climb out the window. I remember the nurse whispering, "Not the window room, poor bastard." But it didn't matter. I kept waking in room 313. I go to bed in room 208, room 115, even the common room once. But at 3:17 a.m., I'd snap awake, cold sweat soaking my shirt, and there I'd be, the window open, the scratching louder, the pale figure closer. One night, I left the room and walked the halls, but no one else was there. The photos on the walls were all black now, empty frames. I tried to find Dr. Mallory. Her office was locked. When I forced the door, the room was filled with mirrors. Every wall and every reflection was me, but older, emaciated, eyes hollow. They started laughing. I screamed. No sound came out. I don't know how long I've been here now. The days repeat. The food is ash. The staff don't speak. I write this with a pen I found under the bed, on wallpaper that started to peel. Beneath it are thousands of names. Mine is one of them. The scratching never stops. The pale figure is at the window now, always there, waiting. And sometimes I see it smile. Sometimes it looks like me. I'll keep writing. I have to. Because if I stop, I think I'll become the next face in the frame. Another smiling patient in the hallway. Another shadow in the glass. And then someone new will arrive. And the window will open. And the scratching will begin again. There's a library in the lower levels of the Hawthorne Institute. I didn't know it existed until I followed one of the orderlies, tall, bald, silent, through a door marked records. He didn't see me. Or if he did, he didn't care. I moved like a ghost behind him. The air changed as I descended. Damp, sour, heavy with mildew and mould. The hallway sloped slightly downward, carved into stone. Faint lights buzzed from the ceiling, old sodium bulbs that flickered like they were tired of trying. At the end of the corridor, the orderly vanished through a door with a tarnished bronze plaque. Patient Archives, authorized only. I waited until the light above the door dimmed, then slipped inside. The room was massive, walls lined with rows upon rows of dusty file drawers and bookshelves. Some sections were older than others. One corner even had scrolls behind glass, like a museum exhibit. In the center sat a circular desk and a record player spinning nothing. No sound. I wandered until I found the drawer labeled Elridge Thomas, room 313. My name. My room. I hadn't given them my name when I arrived. I hadn't filled out any official paperwork. And yet, here it was. I pulled it open with trembling hands. Inside were dozens of reports. Typed, handwritten, some with photos. Not of me, of other men, different names, different faces. All listed under room 313. All of them suffering from acute paranoia, hallucinations, suicide attempts, disappearances. One man had written over and over in red ink, "The mirror shows what wants to escape. The window is not a window. It wants to be me." I dropped the folder, backed away. My legs shook. Something moved between the shelves, a flicker of motion, a glimpse of pale skin. I turned toward it, and there was no one, just a mirror, leaning against the shelf, not dusty like the rest, clean, too clean. I looked in. My reflection blinked. I didn't. I ran. I tried to leave the institute that night. Storm clouds rolled in, but I didn't care. I found my old clothes in a plastic bag under the bed, labelled Belongings, Subject 42B. I was halfway down the gravel path when I saw them. Dozens of figures, standing in the fog just beyond the property gates. Not staff, not patients. Their skin was wrong, damp-looking, like they'd been pulled from water, all staring, silent, unmoving. Each one of them had my face. I turned back. The window was open. Dr. Mallory was waiting in my room. She said nothing as I entered, just gestured to the chair. I sat. Her pen tapped slowly on her notebook. "You went looking," she finally said. I nodded. I didn't speak. "You saw the others, the failed hosts. You're lucky. They didn't survive the integration process. Their bodies couldn't contain the imprint. I tried to stand. Couldn't. My body wouldn't respond. My fingers trembled violently. The chair was too heavy. Or I was. "What are you?" I managed to whisper. She smiled. "I'm not the question. You are." I awoke on the floor. Room 313. As always. The window open, scratching louder. But this time, there were voices. Not words, just whispers. Like 1,000 people murmuring behind a glass wall, growing louder, more urgent, begging, commanding. I screamed. I hurled the chair into the window. The glass didn't shatter. It didn't even crack. Instead, it rippled like water. And something reached through. A hand, thin, wet, bone white. It grabbed my face. I woke again, in bed. Sunlight poured in through the closed window. Everything was still. Normal. I checked the hallway. The photos were back. Everyone smiling. I walked to the reception desk. "Thomas Elridge," I said. "I'm checking out." The receptionist smiled. "You've already completed your treatment, Mr. Elridge. You're free to go." She handed me my phone. My ID. I walked out the door. No fog, no watchers, no whispers. Just the sound of gulls and waves. I laughed. I've been home 3 days now. The flat is warm, bright. The city noises are comforting. Life is returning to normal. But I don't sleep. Because at exactly 3:17 a.m., the bedroom window opens. On its own. And I hear the scratching. And sometimes, in the mirror across the room, I see someone else looking out and smiling. The city is supposed to feel safe, familiar, grounded. But now even the noise of traffic sounds artificial, like someone playing a recording just out of sync. I avoid mirrors, not just the bathroom, all of them. I've taken down the hallway mirror, covered the wardrobe doors, even tossed out my phone. The front-facing camera started flickering last week, freezing on images that didn't match what I was doing. I saw myself blinking when I wasn't. The dreams came back. Except now, I'm not dreaming of the institute. I dream of the apartment, my apartment. I walk into my bedroom. Everything looks normal until I pass the mirror. In the reflection, I'm still standing in the doorway. The other me smiles. Then the reflection turns its head slowly to the left. There's something behind it, always just out of frame. When I wake up, my pillow is damp, like someone was standing over me. breathing. It's not just dreams. The window in my kitchen opened last night. I don't even remember touching it. I woke at 3:17 a.m. again. The glass pane was ajar. Cold air poured in. But I live on the 10th floor. There is no ledge, no balcony, and no explanation for the footprints on the inside sill. Bare, wet, human. I've started hearing whispers behind the walls. It's not the neighbors. I checked. The apartment next to mine is empty. Been vacant for months, the landlord said. But every night now, just before 3:17, I hear murmuring, like a voice pressed against drywall. It doesn't speak words. It speaks sound, like static trying to become language. I've started speaking back, not words. Just breathe, a rhythm, a kind of acknowledgement, and it likes that. I tried returning to the Institute. I don't know what I expected. Closure, answers. But the building isn't there anymore. The road that used to lead there stops at a cliff edge, just open air and ocean. I asked the locals in the nearest town. They looked at me like I was mad. There's never been anything on that land, one man said. Just the bluffs, bad soil for building. But I found a photograph in the local archives, a black and white image from the 1940s. It shows a large estate, exactly where the Institute stood. Scrawled on the back in faded ink, Hawthorne Sanitarium, closed permanently. 1954, mass patient disappearance. I'm writing this from a motel off the coast. I don't know how long I've been here. Time is fluid. My watch spins slowly, counterclockwise. There's a mirror on the wall. I've covered it with a towel. But sometimes, when I blink, the towel is gone. Just for a second. And the figure inside isn't me anymore. It's taller, paler. It doesn't smile. It waits. I called my mother today. Or I tried to. A voice picked up. My voice. But it wasn't me. It said, "I'm not done yet." Then the line went dead. My phone won't turn back on. There's a knock on the motel door now. Software repetitive. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Like nails. Like scratching. I won't open it. I won't. But I can see the mirror now. The towel's gone. And the figure is inside it again. Closer. Smiling. I didn't open the door. But something came in anyway. When I woke up, the room felt wider, like the walls had pulled back a few inches while I was unconscious. The bed was further from the desk. The mirror was gone. No, not gone. Moved. Now it was directly across from me. I could see myself breathing, too fast, too slow, out of sync. My own eyes watching me, not blinking when I blinked. I looked away, tried to stand. Something tugged at my ankle. The carpet bulged, a wet spot, and from it, fingers, pale, childlike, stretching up from beneath the floorboards. I screamed, and then it was morning. I checked out of the motel, hitchhiked back to the city. My apartment was dark, silent, covered in dust, like I'd been gone for months. I had. I checked the calendar. It was December. I had left in October. Something changed in me. It's hard to explain. I still walk, eat, breathe, but the world doesn't quite fit anymore. Sounds are muffled, colors too bright or not bright enough. People walk past me and their reflections lag behind. Glitches. I see doorways where there weren't any. Windows that vanish when I approach. And the scratching never stopped. On the fourth night back, the window in my bedroom shattered. Not from the outside, from within. I'd placed a mirror across from it, taped it up as some kind of defense. The moment the glass broke, I saw it, just for a moment, the figure. Not a copy of me anymore. It had changed, grown taller, no mouth. Its eyes weren't eyes, just pits. And from them, light bled. It touched the mirror. The tape peeled back like skin, and it whispered, though it had no mouth. Soon. Then it was gone. I contacted a woman named Elaine, a paranormal researcher. Fringe, yes, but I was past doubt. She believed me, too quickly. "You've been marked," she said. "They want to inhabit, reconstruct themselves through you. You open the lattice." The what? The mirror isn't a reflection. It's a membrane between this world and what comes after comprehension. You didn't just let it see you. You let it through. Elaine took me to a church in Yorkshire, abandoned since the 1800s. She said it was the last place one of the others had been forced back through. "They hate holy ground," she said, "but only if it's remembered. This place is barely remembered." She drew symbols on the floor, burned herbs, lit candles that burned black. I stared into a bowl of water, and there it was, the room 313, window open, wind howling, and someone looking out. Me. But it wasn't me. It was what I would become. Elaine said I had 3 nights to act. Banishment must happen before the breach fully forms, or you'll become a permanent vessel. "What happens then?" I asked. She didn't answer. Night 1. The water in the sink turned to glass, solid, reflective. My reflection blinked wrong. Night 2. My voice began echoing even in silence. It said things I hadn't. Night 3. The room cracked, not metaphorically, literally. A jagged fracture split across the floor. From it, wind, cold, moist, smelling of the sea. I looked down and saw it again. The Institute, below me, whole. Waiting. I jumped. The fall should have killed me. But there was no impact. Only silence. I hovered, suspended in nothing, as the world unraveled into smoke. The wind stopped. The cold vanished. And the light above me, the room I had fallen from, shrank to a pinpoint before vanishing entirely. Then darkness. But not empty darkness. There were things in it. Shapes that recoiled when I tried to focus. Movement without form. Sound without direction. And underneath it all, the steady hum of something enormous breathing. I don't know how long I floated. Eventually, the dark gave way to glass. Floor, walls, sky, everything reflective. And in every pane, me. But different versions. One was older, scarred. Another was missing his eyes. One had no mouth and scratched constantly at the inside of the mirror with bloodied nails. And one was smiling. It reached out, and I was no longer alone. I stood in room 313, but it was wrong. The wallpaper writhed like skin. The window was missing. Only an empty frame remained, and through it, a yawning void. In the corner stood Elaine. Her eyes were glazed, her hands trembled. "I followed you," she whispered. "I didn't mean to." I stepped toward her, and she shattered. Glass. All of her. A mirror in disguise. Every shard screamed as it hit the floor. The Institute corridors returned but distorted. The walls pulsated. Lights flickered with no source. Doors whispered as I passed. They called me by name. They called me Vessel. The central stairwell descended forever. I walked for hours, maybe days. At the bottom, I found a room filled with chairs, all facing a single mirror. Each chair had a body in it. Each body was me. Some were rotting, some pristine. One looked up as I entered. "You're late," it said. "We've been waiting." The mirror pulsed. A voice boomed, deep and ancient. "You brought yourself. You named the door. You are the window now." I screamed. I fought. I begged. But the glass would not break. And then the real me stood up. The only version that wasn't altered. The only version that didn't speak. It walked toward the mirror, laid its hand against the surface, and began to merge with it. I felt my limbs turn cold, my thoughts blur, my memories twist. I couldn't breathe. But somewhere, distant and fading, I heard another voice. "Elaine, remember who you are," she shouted. "Say your name." And I did. "Thomas Elridge," the mirror screamed. The world shattered. I woke up in a hospital bed. Real sunlight streamed through the window. Elaine sat beside me, pale, eyes red. "You almost didn't come back," she said. I nodded. "Where's the mirror?" I asked. She didn't answer, but in her hand was a single shard. It pulsed. The hospital discharged me 2 days later. Clean bill of health, no neurological damage, and no mention of the 2 weeks I had been missing. I didn't ask questions, neither did they. Elaine was gone by the time I got out. No forwarding address, no records. Her phone number returned a flat tone, but I still had the shard. I keep it in a box lined with black cloth, sealed with duct tape. And still, it hums. It vibrates most around mirrors, especially at night, especially around 3:17 a.m. I moved out of the city, someplace rural, quiet, no neighbors, no glass. But the silence hasn't helped. The scratching is back, not from windows this time, from the walls, from the floorboards, from the inside of the fridge even. Something wants to be seen, something wants in. One night, I dreamt of Elaine again. She was younger, smiling, not scared. We were in a hallway lined with mirrors, but they didn't reflect us. They reflected someone else, thousands of him. The mirror man. He was assembling himself, piece by piece. Eyes from one version, hands from another, teeth from a third. When he noticed me, he stopped, then smiled. "I'm almost done," he said. And then I woke up. The shard cracked this morning. A hairline fracture running through its center. I didn't touch it. I haven't opened the box. But somehow it knows. It pulses when I get too close. It whispers now, Not in words, not yet, but soon. I started boarding up the house. No mirrors, no windows. But reflections don't need glass anymore. Sometimes I catch glimpses in puddles, in the shine of a doorknob, in my own eyes. Last night, I blacked out. When I woke up, the box was open. The shard was gone. And written on the wall in soot, the mirror remembers. I've started seeing him in daylight now. Reflections of myself that lag half a second too long. A twitch in the corner of my eye that I didn't make. A hand wave from a window across the street that mimics me before I move. I stare at surfaces too long. Glass, metal, water. They all want to show me something I'm not supposed to see. He's here, not fully, but close. I found another note today, tucked behind a cupboard panel. It was written in handwriting that matches mine exactly. You need to finish the window. The frame is ready. You're nearly complete. I don't know what that means, but the walls are thinner now. I hear breathing behind them. Low, raspy, eager, like something waiting for a cue. I dream of broken glass raining from the sky, of mirrors floating through endless black, of faces with my mouth, but not my eyes. One of them told me my memories aren't mine, that I was built, that he's always been the real one. I woke to find a full-length mirror in my living room. I didn't buy it, didn't bring it inside. I would never allow one here. But there it was, leaning against the far wall, as if it had always been part of the room. I stared at it for an hour. My reflection didn't move, until I blinked. Then it smiled. I turned around. Nothing. Turned back. Now it was closer. Not me, him, the one behind the glass. He raised a hand, placed it flat against the other side. I felt the pressure against my own palm. A perfect match. I smashed the mirror. Glass exploded outward. But when it hit the floor, it wasn't shards. It was dust, weightless, grey. And in the center of the pile, a single eye blinking slowly, watching me. I swept it into a jar, sealed it. But I still see from it, from the inside. Something is trying to swap places with me. It's not just identity anymore. It's location, essence, a mirror-perfect transposition, a ritual, an exchange. And it's nearly done. Tonight is the solstice. The air is too still. My breath fogs in a room with no draft. The clocks have stopped. Every single one. At 3:17. It's almost time. It happened at 3:17. The air went still. My body froze, but not from fear. Like time itself had paused around me. The jar holding the eye shattered. No noise, no motion. Just gone. And in its place, a crack in the wall, small, spidering, reflective. The window had returned, not physically, spiritually. A portal etched into the structure of the world. I heard breathing from the crack, then a voice. Let me see. I didn't move. Let me be. The lights flickered. The furniture shifted, moved closer to the walls. The room became narrower, and in the center, the mirror man. But now, he was no longer just a reflection. He was stepping through. My body began to feel heavy. as though it were melting into the floor. He pointed at me. You built me. You called me. You made the frame. I didn't. You believed. He lunged. I screamed, but it wasn't me who screamed. It was him. The house trembled. The ceiling cracked. And the mirror, the true mirror, appeared above me. A perfect rectangular slab of black glass, floating, waiting. I had a choice. Let him in. Or go through myself. I ran toward the mirror. He laughed. Too late. I reached the glass and jumped. Silence. Then dripping water, the scent of salt and rot. I stood in room 313. Again. The mirror was gone. The window was shut. And all the photos in the hallway now showed my face. Dozens of them. Smiling. I opened the door to the hallway. It was filled with people. All versions of me. Waiting. And at the front, Elaine. But she wasn't herself anymore. She turned to me. It's your turn now. Behind me, the mirror pulsed, and the world split open. It wasn't the Institute anymore. It wore its skin. Same corridors, same flickering lights, but it pulsed like a living organism. The air throbbed in time with a heartbeat I couldn't hear, only feel. The versions of me parted as I walked through them. None spoke. Some smiled, others wept. A few held their faces like masks, as though afraid they would fall off. Elaine followed, but she was silent, eyes dull like painted glass. The walls began to reflect us. Not in clarity, but distortion. Elongated limbs, missing features. One reflection held a knife. Another had no shadow. The real me, if there even was one left, kept walking. Toward room 313. Inside the room was empty. No window, no mirror, no bed. Just a chair, and in the chair, him, the mirror man. He didn't stand when I entered, just watched me with those ink-black sockets. You've come far, he said, but not far enough. He held out a hand. I need what's left of you, the last spark, the final thread. You must complete the circuit. I won't, I said. My voice trembled. You already did. He reached forward and touched my chest. Pain. Worse than any scream. Worse than burning. Every memory peeled back. Every thought disassembled. I saw myself as a child crying before a mirror. As a teen watching myself lie. As a man trying to forget what I'd done. I saw him, always watching. He wasn't created. He was inherited. A generational fracture, a crack passed down. And now he wore me like a mask. I tried to fight, to scream, to wake up. But the world had no up anymore, only in. Elaine stepped forward, but now I saw her truth. She wasn't Elaine, not really. She was the last host. Help me, I begged. She touched the side of my face. Then take my place. And she crumbled. Dust. Gone. And the mirror. Reformed. Waiting. For me. I stepped through. And on the other side, I was smiling. I don't know how long I've been here. This place, where mirrors breathe and walls whisper, isn't time-bound. There are no clocks, no days, just endless rooms reflecting one another, like a maze of memories twisted beyond meaning. every reflection I see now is him or me. I no longer know which is which. The faces speak in riddles. They mouth words I don't remember saying. Their mouths move when mine don't. One of them calls out to me, Thomas, but it's not a name I recognize anymore. I've become other. I tried to break a mirror again. This time it bled. Thick black fluid poured from the cracks. It screamed, not aloud, but inside my head. You are already on the inside, it said. You are always the reflection. I ran. The corridors looped. Door 313 appeared again, and again, and again. Each time I passed it. Each time it opened a little wider, and I heard my own voice on the other side. Eventually I stopped running. I entered room 313 for the last time. Inside stood a mirror. Nothing more. And in its surface, the world I came from. My apartment, my bed, my body, lying still beneath the sheets. But something was wrong. The figure sleeping there. It looked peaceful, real, whole. But when it opened its eyes, they were his, the mirror man. And he smiled. I screamed. I hit the glass. It didn't shatter. It swallowed my hands, then my arms, then everything else. I fell again, not down, not up, but sideways, into a silence deeper than space. And when I opened my eyes, I was home, or so it seemed. The mirror was gone. No photos, no scratches, no notes. But I knew, because when I passed the hallway mirror, my reflection stayed behind a second too long, and it didn't blink. And now, every night at 3:17, I feel the pull. Not from a mirror, not from a window, from within. The mirror man isn't behind the glass anymore. He's inside. And he's waiting for me to fall asleep,